Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. In Europe, I'm Stephen Carroll with Caroline Hepker, and we're joined by Bloomberg's breaking news editor, Louise Moon. Louise, good morning. So we're starting with an impressive debut for Asta Energy.
Indeed, this is a electrical power equipment firm. So essentially they make products that are copper-based for the energy transition. So very strategically important at the moment. And you can see that being fed through into the demand for their IPO. So the IPO was 15 times oversubscribed. So it really shows how much demand there was for that. And then, as you say, they've debuted today in Frankfurt and shares are soaring. They were up as much as 46% this morning. So the offer price was 29.50 euros a share, and they opened at 43 euros a share. So doing really well in their debut over in Germany. And then in terms of kind of the wider listing context in Europe, it follows a few big listings. The year started off quite well. We had CSG in Amsterdam about a week ago. That was one of Europe's largest in years. So it's another bit of a success story. But as I say, this is kind of really based around the demand for copper products and the energy transition as the world, moves more towards electric vehicles and the likes of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Asta Energy Solutions. Meanwhile, speaking of stocks to watch, we have Swatch. Why is that of interest?
So Swatch shares rose the most since October this morning. That's after a upbeat growth outlook. So they've had a bit of a rebound in demand in the second half of 2025, following what has been quite a difficult period. Swatch has been grappling with a lot of weakness in China, a key market, also declining exports to the US after tariffs. Of course, Trump initially imposed 39% tariffs on imports from Switzerland. That was since reduced to 15%, but still above kind of historic highs. So Swatch has been grappling with a lot of this, and you can see that in their shares. Their shares have really fallen in value, and they're now among one of the most shorted stocks on the wider European benchmark. But this morning, things were looking more upbeat. Analysts are saying that it's showing encouraging revenue trends, a healthy improvement, and that's overshadowing what was actually a miss on operating profit. So more positivity ahead, and that's been the real focus.
I'm chuckling, Stephen, because I've actually, somewhere in a drawer, I'm sure I have a Swatch watch from the 90s, 80s, possibly.
It's the peak fashion at the moment. Yeah.
It is. It's back in, apparently.
Straight to vintage with you, Caroline Hepker, to look at the value of that. Let's, Louise, just round off then with a look at Experian. Their shares up 3.4% at the moment in London.
Yes, another good story this morning. They're leading the FTSE 100, as you say, shares up. They announced a $1 billion buyback. They say they're trading strongly. They expect to end the year in what they call a favourable leverage position. So that buyback will finish by the end of June 2027, and shares are up on that news. It marks a bit of a turnaround. Their shares actually fell to a 2-year low earlier this week. They are kind of traditionally usually quite a favourite stock among analysts, but investors have said, or are saying that they are going to suffer as AI automates credit scoring. So they're considered among some analysts to be an AI loser in one of the analysts' words. But announced that buyback this morning, shares up, and I mean, if you look at their ratings, their consensus, they've still got 20 buys compared to 2 sells, and consensus is nearing 5. It's 4.64 among analysts. So high ratings still, and that buyback news this morning.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.